Good morning, and welcome into Vibe Talk. We are here. It is Transformation Tuesday and Wednesday for us. Wednesday Wellness is this day. And our question is, if you had the power to change something about yourself, what would it be? We know that fall is a season for change. And when we're changing something, we're changing into something other than what was before. What is it about yourself, your life, that you would like to change? Everyone has something that they would like to change. I'll start with me since I'm the host. I'd like to change the way that people, or the way that I respond to things. The way that I respond to things sometimes is not the best way to respond to things. But now, being honest about that, what would you like to change? Today's podcast is inspired from, isn't it funny how day by day nothing changes, but when you look back, everything is different. We're in the midst of 2023, and in a few days, fall begins. The interesting thing about the season of fall is the weather becomes cooler. The leaves start to break and fall, as well as go through a transition of change. Why is that? We must look at the tree for an example, because that tree, those leaves are dying off, and they do that repetitively every time fall comes. So if they're doing that, what should we be doing? What would you like to do? Remember, this is not a podcast to tell you what to do or how to do it. We're just helping you to strategize while doing it. The choice is yours. Vibe Talk wants to make mention for your mental and emotional health that the month this week has been for suicide prevention. Let's talk about that for a moment. Many people feel incapable or powerless, overwhelmed, done, tired. But I want you to understand being tired can look different for so many people. What about yourself? Are you tired? We can all be tired of something. Let's remember those people. Let's remember the people that are struggling with this issue, which is a very real issue. And also, let's think about the ones that we have lost to suicide. This is very personal to me. I want to thank you for joining. And our question is, what have you, and I want to say this again, what have you needed to change, or what are you wanting to change? Since it is fall, we're going to talk about this, and we hope that you will join us. Good morning to my co-host Trish.
Good morning.
What are you thankful for, and why?
I'm thankful for getting over this flu that I had because it made me feel terrible. So I'm thankful for feeling better today.
Good, good. So, everybody wants to do some changing. You know, most people say they're going to change their life just after the strike of midnight. We've talked about this before, of midnight on January 1. Those are resolutions. While we appreciate resolutions, how many of us actually resolve to get to change anything about yourselves? This time, I'd like for you to think about changing your life with being committed to you and you only. Changing your life. We're not going to tell you how long it's going to take you. We're just going to talk about the hows, whys, and whats. We're gonna talk about that in a beautiful way to help you to think about changing. Wednesday is all about wellness, and we're going to get into that too. Welling yourself with expressions, art through expressions. In order to change your life or turn your life around, you must take action. Sometimes we look at all the outside stuff. How many of us are really looking at the outside things we need to change? Many of us do that. You know, we say we need to do something with our job. We need to do something with our outside self. But very few people think about inside things. You are housed in your own community of your body. Think about that. How many of you have thought about your body being housed? That's your own house. You can either fix her up, or you can either change with very few renovations, or you can remodel the entire house that you live in. Let's think about our mental and our emotional health, changing your life, changing the way that you see everything in your life. Are we doing that? We're going to be talking. Lines are open. Our Vibe Talk line is 661 503 8993, and you can call directly into our podcast this morning. I say to you, good morning. How many of you feel stuck when you think about changing your life, changing yourself, changing something, anything? Or you feel like, where do I start? What do I need to do? And even it sounds like this: I don't know. How many of you feel like that? Ever feel like that? Anybody? That, wow, this is more than I can handle. I I've felt like that many times.
I have.
Yeah. And what was that like for you?
Um, it was frustrating because I felt like that with my self-love journey. I was asking myself, where do I start? I was stuck. You know, people they say, love yourself, but it's the part where I get stuck in the fact of where does it begin? Where does it start? So that's where I was stuck at.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes the how's, why's, what's, when's, and where's. That's the only thing that we're going to help you with today. You fill in the blanks. But I want everyone either to write down or to put it in your devices. Most of everyone has a device. And I want you to write these motivating words. Do something. See, we must do something. That, my friends, is called motivation. Motivation. It doesn't come from a place of magic. It comes from a place of action. There's always an action word. Motivation and the cause of your motivation. Some of us rely on others to tell us what their motivation should be. But when does the sound held out forth from yourself to say when? Say when. You know what's me? I procrastinate. Sometimes I will put off the doing of something later. How many of us do that? We'll get to it later.
I do.
And then the later for me becomes never. So I want to work on that. We're going to talk about changing your life, changing something that you'd like to change. The motivation of this podcast on this Wednesday Wellness is for you to think about what exactly you'd like to do. Do something. Do something. Um, we talk about fears. Fears have a lot to do with things that we either do or don't do. Fear plays a major role in our lives. Why do we say that? Because what if we made a change? We fear what would happen. How many of us have felt like that?
I
What would
have.
happen? Yeah, what was that like for you?
Um, I'd say that's the main reason why I don't move forward often because I'm afraid of what might happen and the possibilities of failing. So that's what it's like for me.
Yeah, fears. Yeah, yeah. You know, we can take the acronym fears and make it possible, right? Fears, we can turn those letters into fall early, arrive right as you start. Fears. Let's change that. Let's take action. Let's be able to say, I am not afraid to change something in my life. Every last one of us living have something that we need to change in our lives. But you see, the fear that we used to have until just this moment, we don't challenge that fear. So we have to change the acronyms. So we're going to be right back talking about doing something to help yourself change you. We'll be right back.
Feel free to be interactive and tell us your stories. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. Go give it a shot.
We're back. And thank you for joining Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. When we change something or have done something about the change we needed to make, even if it was the smallest thing, we have said, it's okay. I've done that. I'm doing that. Did you catch the word okay? Let it be okay that you are willing to change something or that you're doing it. And then you began to notice it. That's called awareness here at Vibe Talk. Being aware that you wanted to do it even in the first place. What is it that you want to do? Change something about you. Everyone has it, something that they want to change about themselves. Is it easy to change something about yourself? Think about fear, the old fear, that is. What is it that you feared the most? And when you finally challenged that fear, how did it make you feel? Fear of something, fear of anything. Well, no doubt you felt like you had accomplished something. And no doubt you have said in your mind, in your soul, wow, I really did that. You met with accomplishment. Anything you could challenge. So let's think about this. Recognizing that everything you do in life, how much are you willing to commit to it? Or are you even willing to commit? People want relationships. People are in relationships. We're all in a relationship. Relationships with one another, relationships with our partner, relationships, work, school. Everyone's in a relationship. But now I want you to think about changing something in your life. I'm going to ask you a question that doesn't deserve an answer out loud. In those relationships that I mentioned above, are they healthy? Happy? Are you gaining opportunity that makes you well? You well. Or have you settled for less? We can either risk it or break it. Which one do you choose? You see, I told you that Vibe Talk is never about telling you what to do. Vibe Talk motivates you to think about what you're doing. So, what do you want? What are you willing to suffer for? What are you willing to gain? You know, we think about gym lifers. You will know by now that I have a gym lifer, my oldest son. He gets in that gym with a goal of exercising the body. He's willing to do that. He takes and makes time for that. But how many of you are willing to exercise the pain of the mind mentally, emotionally, and the soul? Looking directly at you, are you willing to commit to you and face your lions on anything that you want to change and make better? Fall is coming. It's all in the air. Cooler mornings. And as you look out at the fall leaves, many of you are seeing the change right now in a very real way. Can you see the change within yourself? Or are you still at fear's door? The other kind of fear, not the falling early to arrive at start, which is symbolism of the beginning. So I said, when we are painting ourselves, Painning, we are doing this for the thought, of expectation, because we're expecting something out of it going back to the gym. Do you love going to the gym, or do you dread going to the gym? Many of us say we go to the gym, we go because it's going to tone us, we go because it's healthier, and that's all fine and good. But do you love to do what you do in your life? Even if you don't go to the gym, do you love what you do in your life? See, because when you recognize what you're doing and you're committed to doing what you do, I'm asking you the question, do you love what you do in your life? Let's talk about that. There was a musician at the start of adolescence. He wanted to become a rock star. And any guitar song that he heard, he would envision that himself being on the stage playing, and the crowds would roar and be so admired by his playing. He would be admired by his playing. People would wow him. He was adored. He would think about that for hours on end. As he grew up and started going to college, he dropped out of music school and he stopped playing the guitar. Wow. Wow. What happened? Well, he thought about his priorities and what he needed to do in order to get through music school. Well, should he invest making time, making it work? Priorities had to be thought of in relation to his life changes. First, he figured out that he needed to finish school, and he needed to make money. So he needed to find the time. And what happened to this man? Nothing. nothing happened. Why did nothing happen for him? You remember the last part I said? He needed to find the time. You see, he wasn't willing to do anything to put investment into himself. So guess what? If you haven't figured this out, what happened to that man, he didn't really want to be that musician that the crowd would scream over. He was only in love with a fantasy of people cheering and rocking out to the music that he would love to play. So, the result of that again was that he didn't try at all. How do you fit in this changing of your life or doing something, doing anything? See, we get into our life, the daily hustle and bustle of life, the daily living is what we call it. But are you really living? When you think about the work that you have to put into it, are you really willing to? Are you thinking about all the things you didn't have? See, this young man was thinking about going to rehearsals, no car, broken strings on his garage, finding even the first gig, you see. And when he found the gear, if he would put forth the effort, he now worried about hauling 40 pounds of gear just to get to the rehearsal. Are we like that? Stuck and won't do anything. You see, that not doing anything comes from the old fear, not from the fear that means fall arrives early. Fall early arrives right at the start. Change. That is symbolism for change. Are we still at the dream state? Or are we willing to climb the mountains and challenge ourselves to just get it done? Changes that we need. You feel that you need to change. What are you willing to suffer for that change? Your answer is going to make a difference. Your answer is going to make a difference. We're going to be right back. Let's talk about embracing. You know how I tell you guys to embrace yourself, your change. I want you to think about embracing yourself and knowing that you matter. And why do you matter? Because if you change your life or not, nobody is going to change or nobody is going to notice. That's why you have to embrace you. You are free to be able to do whatever you want, even if no one cares. You can look at life two ways. Two ways. You ready? You can look at life as number one, Nobody cares if you change your life or not. And two, nobody cares if you change your life or not. Oh, you like that? Two ways to look at life. So I want to give you some options of changing your life because you care. I've worked with clients that really have cared. They've asked themselves questions. What does it look like for me to be successful in life? And what does purpose look like? How many of you have purpose in life? Purpose.
I do.
Yeah, what's your purpose in life?
I feel like my purpose in life is to inspire people through my music.
Yeah, do such a nice job of that as well. My purpose is to live a happy, full life and not taking it for granted. And doing in life meaningful things. You know, going back to the guitar player, he dreamed a lot. The only thing about the dream is that he chose to do nothing with it. Sometimes we hear the words dream big. How many of us have ever heard those words, to dream big?
I have.
Yeah. How big are we dreaming? Let's talk about these dreams for a moment. Are these dreams reachable? Have you set for yourself the highest bar that even you couldn't even reach? See, because really, we can tell you just to dream. You've heard of the song, Dream a Little Dream. You can do that. Because when we think about dreams, we all have had the biggest dream. And whether you fulfilled those dreams or not, nobody really cared. But now I'm asking you, do you care about the smallest dream? And are you making it your purpose? Are you making it meaningful? I hear a lot of people who say, I had this dream. Nobody stops you from doing what you need to do. You are the driver, and you are sitting in the driver's seat. Nobody's asking anyone to take the wheel because you are the driver. What does that mean symbolically or even in metaphorics? You are the dictator. You are the leader of whatever it is that you want to do. No one should sit in your driver's seat. You yourself and you. Now, when you think about that driver's seat, you are on a journey to somewhere. You're going places. You're going somewhere. And so I say to you, pull up your chair a little closer. Have you arrived yet? You are the dreamer of your dream. Though it be small or big. We want you to genuinely want it for yourself. That's the question I love to ask every client I've ever worked with. What do you want for yourself? Ask yourself, what do you want from your life? What do you want? You can make it possible. We tell our kids, you can be anything that you want to be. How many of you have heard that growing up? Or if you're parents, you've told your children that. Anybody?
I have.
I was told that my entire life. I could be anything. One day I want to be a teacher. The next day I want to be a Avon lady. Next Friday I want to be a nurse. All those were dreams. But here's what happened. I really did become a teacher. And I'm still to this day in educating so many others and helping them while I help myself to well myself. So you can dream with endless possibility, or you can dream and do nothing about it. Well, you'd ask yourself another question. Why do you want what you want? See, because underneath that fear, the old fear that we've had, until I change my own acronym of fear, and you'll have to change your own acronym of fear. And I challenge each and every one of you to change it. What lies beneath that? Because some of us are so beat up by others, even ourselves. We beat ourselves up because we think that nothing is possible. We choose to do nothing. So we leave our lives powerless. You are the master of your destinations. Now, with that being said, we're going to talk about value and finding better value. We'll be right back.
Cause we're called Vibe Talk, Facing the Lion podcast. Go check your favorite stream. Feel free to be interactive and tell us your stories. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, YouTube, and so much more. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Go give it a shot.
Vibe Talk is all about asking questions, and we need you to ask yourself important questions about your value. Everybody in this room has different values. Everybody that will listen to this podcast has different values. But now let me say something about your values. Are they hurting you rather than helping you? Or is there something about your values that you may need to update? TVs need update, our computers need update, but have you updated your values to better values? Have they become solidly based on what you're choosing? Constructive, controllable. I want to repeat that. Bring your chair a little bit closer. Your values, better value. Are they constructive, controllable, or are they based on emotions, destructive, and uncontrollable? You be the judge of your own value. Once you have known your value or know your value, you are replacing them with better values. There's always room for improvement in all of our lives. You are free to build your life however you may choose. That is, if you choose. Okay. I want you to think smart, and I want you to be able to think about the acronym SMART and what that means to you. And we're talking about real words: fear, smart. What does the acronym SMART mean to you? Are you creative? Are you goal setting? Because if you're trying to accomplish every single goal and think that you won't be met with challenges, you are mistaken. Because every single goal that you've ever faced is challenging. Always remember that. We set goals for ourselves. Remember when I talked about resolutions? That is goal setting. January 1st comes and people say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, this, that, and the other. But now, I want you to think about the impact on your life and your habits. What are they? I want you to be thinking about the next time that you want to make a change in your life, not to someone else's life. Remember what I said? Controlled in your life. Because, see, the adverse effect of that is that you don't make changes because you think what? Your life is uncontrollable. You are not in control of your life, because I do have people that their lives are not their own. Someone else is in their driver's seat. Someone else has always been in charge. But now I'm asking you, it's your life. And when we think about our emotions, our emotions can really play tricks on us. Have you ever had a day where you just woke up and you said, I can't do this another day? How many of you have had those kind of days?
I have.
Yeah, me too. I've had that. I just couldn't do it another day. But guess what? I did it. You see how our emotions play tricks on us? It can make us feel or believe or experience that we could never do that. We could never get through. But see, with our emotions, we are in control of how we feel. No one can make us feel or think anything. Because you see, we've challenged ourselves to better value. We've challenged ourselves to say, no, I'm not going to believe that, because I can do whatever it is in my life that I need to do in order to change or update or get smart and no longer fear. I'm bidding you to get there. I want you to think about your environment right now. What does it look like? Is it destructive, constructive, uncontrollable, controllable? Same for your behavioral response. You see, we're sitting in our house body. Everyone has a house of their own in a real way. Your body belongs to you. Your beautiful body. How are you responding to the changes? Do you behave with, I'm going to dismiss myself because someone is more important? Or do you take yourself and embrace everything that you ever wanted to do? There are some people that live their lives that way, and I'm proud of those people. Also, when you think about your choices and focusing on what you want to do with your life, you give yourself rewards. There's some people who are really into reward. They reward themselves even when they don't go to work. You know, they say, I didn't go to work today. I called in Monday sick. I'm going to reward myself. I'm not going to work. I'm going to play hooky. I'm not going. So they go reward themselves. But now we're talking about people who are putting in real work. Maybe you need that day off. We're not saying that you do or you don't. But we're simply saying, are you willing to reward yourself? And here's the reward: removing the unpleasantries in your life. Because you don't have to have them. We choose these things in our life a lot of the time. And I want you to think about your environment, how you behave with the response of it, and how you reward yourself. Think about that. And then on to the new, you're going to break habits, old habits. And in replace of the old habits, you start to build healthy new habits. We want you to be intentional. We want you to look at your space and ask yourself, what can you do? How can you intentionally create for yourself change? Change within yourself, because you should want that. I want you to think about that. We're going to be right back. We're going to be right back. Stay tuned with Vibe Talk Facing the Lion.
Facing the lions, facing the lions.
We are back. The last question that I want you to think about before we turn it over to Trisha's Treasure is this: know who you are. Say it with me. Know who I am. What drives me? What helps me? Sometimes we really believe. Remember, we talked about the emotion? There's just no way to change our life. We're just doomed with the life that we have. But I want you to look at you and ask yourself, is that the truth? Or can I do something about it? Or are you going to be like that musician who chose to do nothing about his dreams of being the musician and stop dreaming? Is that what you want in your life? Because I'm going to tell you something. You will not change your life if you don't know what you're changing in the first place. See, that involves self-awareness in our mindset, knowing that we can. You hear that word? We can. That means you can, I can. You know, we sometimes fear stops us. We sometimes obsess over the fear that we just can't. We fear the unknown. We fear of change. And we stop ourselves altogether. Let's not do that anymore. Let's live our lives with knowing we can change. If the fall leaves bring change to the tree, you are far more worth any tree, even the oldest tree living. You see, they must change. And that's why the leaves fall in the fall and become new leaves. Picture yourself like that today. I want you to think about what our creative experience will be for Wednesday Wellness, and that is I want you to use fall colors and draw a picture of what your change looks like. Everyone listening, and we know that you're going to be listening worldwide. We saw our numbers. Thank you so much. We're now going to, when we get back, turn it over to Trisha's Treasures. We'll be right back with Facing the Lion podcast. We'll be right back.
Feel free to be interactive and tell us your stories. Go give it a shot.
We're back. Trish, will you take it away with Trisha's Treasures?
Last quarter in my classes, I had music, and the teacher asked all the students, what is our goal for by the end of this course? Like, what would we like to progress in, whether we're artists or wanting to get better in music in general? What was our goal? And my goal was to finally make an instrumental of my own for myself. And as the class went on, I was still insecure about my musical talent in the basics. I thought I was mediocre in, most of my music and very limited. And I've heard from other people giving reviews of my music. They say, oh, it's great, it's fine, you don't need to change anything. But what makes it different is an artist always knows about their own craft. And I know what I needed to change and how I needed to get better. So fast forward, the class ended, and my latest album dropped, Silent Phrases, and the ending of that album is a piece from me, a piano piece from me. It's called Silent Ending. And I was proud of it because I said it and I worked to get it done. So if you need to change something, first say it and then try to progress and find the effort in doing what you need to change. Because as I said, an artist knows their craft, regardless of if others say it's good enough, but you know yourself, you know what you need to change. Change for you, not for others. It helps the motivation in seeing your progression when you look in the mirror knowing I did something today. It doesn't matter how small it is. That's what I had to learn. It doesn't matter how small of the change is. You are growing. Even a seed is small and it slowly grows. but eventually it's going to be a tree or a flower. It's going to be its best creation that it's meant to be. So continue to change, continue to motivate yourself in valuing and developing in who you are meant to be. And for the acronym SMART, I wrote stay motivated always, regardless of trials. That's what I wrote. And I hope that will help somebody today.
Thank you so much for that. Powerful indeed. Thank you. Trisha's treasure is always associated with Vibe Talk, Facing the Lion. Thank you. Here's a thought as we close today with our last question. There are average trees. There are beautiful trees. And there are ones who are not either. It's just a tree after all. Here's one fact about every tree. Every tree will gain leaves. Every tree living will gain leaves. Those leaves come in all different beautiful shapes, sizes, and color. See, it has its purpose. Are you like that tree, having purpose? You can be an average tree. You don't have to be the tallest, the brightest, the biggest. You can just be average and still receive leaves change. We close out with this question. What did you learn and discover in this podcast today? Each and every one of you should be asking yourselves as you just listen with Vibe Talk Facing the Lion. We'll start with Trish. What did you learn and discover about yourself today? And how did it make you feel?
I learned that I need to accept the small changes too, because I'm very hard on myself. I want myself to grow rapidly and quickly, but I have to accept the fact that I need to be patient with myself. As I expect others to be patient with me, I have to start being patient with myself and celebrating the small changes. And today I feel motivated because this podcast has motivated me to continue to change and continue to grow as I am and accept the small changes that I'm having and the big ones too, and rewarding myself.
Thank you for that. I really appreciated about this podcast today is that everything will change. Life doesn't stay the same, because if it did, that would mean that it would be boring for me. That it's okay to accept change, because we can have beautiful changes, not necessarily changes that we have, that we fear, and not the acronym that I use, but real fear. So we avoid the change altogether. And change means growth. Growth. It made me feel powerful to know that I am the driver in the driver's seat. No one can take that from me. I want to be unlike the musician who decided that he just dreamed to be dreaming with no purpose. He feared the challenges of being just a musician. It wasn't that he couldn't play the guitar, he chose not to because of fear. And that taught me something. Stop fearing fear and change. Become aware of the changes. I want to thank my amazing co-host Trish. Thank you so much. September is the month of suicide prevention. We're hoping that if we can touch one more life, that means so much. We want you to really be aware that there are struggling people out there, not to take life for granted. And if you hear this podcast and you're listening to it, please share it. Find our Facebook pages. We are streaming on major, major streams. Thank you for that. Please get in touch with us. We also have one-on-one counseling. Please get in touch. If you hear the podcast, we are on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. You can Google us. Alexa will bring us up. And Siri, you can find us. That is, if you really want to. You've been listening to our episode on challenging to change your life. And we ask of you the Vibe Talk question that you can answer at any time. What about your life do you want to change? Stay with us all week when we come back, and you can get a hold of us. Stay tuned for more Vibe Talk this week as you face your challenges. And don't forget, September the 26th, we are celebrating the life of Miss Olivia Newton-John. We will be on live. We're going to talk about her music and what she meant. Is there anything you want to add, Trish? Trish, is there anything?
Sorry. Stay motivated and continue to grow as you are. Be patient with yourself. Take time. It starts with you taking time for yourself and your personal growth.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate you. Thank you for supporting us by listening to us.
I was really about to move and then I got the vibe with it. I really took a smile with it. I really love to ride with it. Yeah, really got the vibe with it. I took a smile with it. I really love to ride with it. You can really see I'm really you when you get the vibe with it. Yeah, when you get the vibe with it.
We want you to get well, be well, and stay well. Thanks for joining Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. See you soon.